Hello everyone, this is Alexis Singh-Guerra and Anurita Singh-Guerra's project for NSG 409 Ethics for Healthcare Profession, the Alex Wubble ethical case. The health-related ethical issue that will be discussed in the case of nurse Alex Wubbles, who worked at Salt Lake City Hospital in Utah, Hayden 2017. This nurse was stuck in the middle of an ethical scenario. She was asked by the local authority to draw blood on an unconscious patient who was involved in a motor vehicle accident involving alcohol consumption. Nurse Wubbles explained to the police officers that ethically, legally, she was not able to provide them with a blood sample from this patient without a warrant, judge order, or a legal case against the patient. Nurse Wubbles also explained that per hospital policy, the before mentioned requirements had to be adhered to and that the police department had an agreement with the hospital with these terms. From a nursing perspective, Nurse Wubbles showed true commitment to her patients and profession. She advocated for her patient and refused to draw blood on him due to the fact that he was unconscious and was not under arrest. While facing police intimidation, Alex stood her ground and protected her patients. Under Provision 1 of the ANA Code of Ethics, it is a nurse's duty to respect our patient's dignity and worth and respect the relationship a nurse has with her patients. Provision 3 of the ANA Code of Ethics emphasizes that a nurse must advocate for the patients. A nurse must protect patient rights, confidentiality, privacy, health, and safety. From a professional ethical standpoint, Alex Wubbles followed the principle of non-maleficence by refusing to draw blood of an unconscious patient with their consent. Dougherty and Portillo, 2016. This was practiced with an attempt to cause no harm to this patient. Nurse Wubbles followed the principle of self-determination by acting on her decisions freely and independently without being persuaded from the local authorities to go against ethical, hospital, and regulatory policies/procedures. Dougherty and Portillo, 2016. Nurse Wubbles followed the theory of deontology as she felt it was her professional duty/responsibility to respect her patient's dignity, honor her patient, and defend his right of consent to invasive procedures. Dougherty and Portillo. The impact from the organization's ethical standpoint was to protect their patients' rights and to honor and respect their patients' dignity while under their care. They also ensured that the patient was being treated fairly, without bias, regardless of the reason why the patient became unconscious. Even though Nurse Wubbles did not have all the answers on how to address all the points to this ethical dilemma, she called supportive members of the healthcare team who were knowledgeable and experienced in the organization's legal and ethical principles. In terms of the social implication on this issue, the public may view this patient and its health circumstance, which involves driving a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol, as irresponsible and careless. This may affect the general public's perspective on how this patient can exercise his healthcare rights. Every patient has the right to protect his privacy, respect for his or her dignity, and the right to verbalize and refuse care they receive. It is vital to ensure that a patient can practice autonomy. When the 6 steps of the ethical decision-making model are used, it can be beneficial in outlining how to tackle this ethical dilemma adequately if one was a practicing nurse in this circumstance. Step 1. Gather as much information on this case as possible. As a practicing nurse, I would first try to find out why the police officers were so adamant in receiving my patient's blood work. The next step is to find information on hospital policy related to invasive procedure, such as blood work on an unconscious patient. If I was unsure or overwhelmed with the situation, I will call my immediate supervisor or a member of the ethics committee related to this issue. Step 2. Identifying the type of ethical dilemma. In this particular scenario, it appears that as a nurse, one would be facing moral distress. This is because a nurse will want, as his or her responsible duty, to protect and advocate for his or her patient. At the same time, I will want to listen to my authorities and provide them with what they are requesting as a law-abiding citizen. Step 3. Deciding what approach I should use to solve the problem. It is vital to use ethical theories/approaches as a foundation for ethical reasoning. I will use the deontological approach to help me move towards a resolution for this issue. Deontology theory focuses/stresses one's obedience to moral imperative. Under the deontological theory, one focuses on their duty to save lives and maintain respect for patient autonomy. Step 4. I would explore practical alternatives. If I was the nurse in this situation, I would request to speak to a member of the ethics committee. I would also request to speak to a union delegate to represent me in this circumstance. If there is a hospital lawyer, I would request his presence when speaking to the local authorities about the situation and hospital guidelines. I could also ask the local authorities to contact their head of the department to review their agreement they made with the hospital. Step 5. Taking a course of action. For a course of action, I would provide or recommend training courses/seminars to educate nurses and other healthcare professionals on how to tackle a similar situation in the future. In this training, healthcare team members will be taught how to find resources/information regarding healthcare policies to ensure they are following legal guidelines. Step 6. Evaluate the process and its outcomes. After providing staff with training, I would conduct unannounced unit rounds and provide mock ethical dilemma situations, such as the one discussed, to test employees' knowledge and competence. This would give us an overview if staff needs more training in this particular scenario. These are my references, and once again, on behalf of Alexis Singh-Guerra and Anurita Singh-Guerra, thanks for listening.